The fourth step that I incorporated into my game while I played for Coach Newman and Coach Ross and Towson was really driving my bottom hand towards the ground. So I would work to get underneath the pads with one of two checks. I'd either slap and lift, or I'd throw a little baby C check, get underneath the pads. At that point, I'd want to make contact. I'd get my cross check on them. I'd get my forearm on the smaller back that I was using my B-hole. I would drive with my legs. The fourth step that I found really helped me while I played at Towson was to drive my butt in towards the ground. So it was almost perpendicular to the ground. So I was really hooking that bottom hand or hooking that arm. Now you have to be careful with that. If you leave it there, you're probably going to get flagged. But I found that really helped my game as a player. So we're just going to show you a couple of our defensemen just practicing these holds. You're going to see number 31 actually throw a slap and a lift to get underneath the pads 2 times with each hold, and then go through the other parts of the other 3 steps. So starting lefty, this is righty guarding lefty. We'll slap and lift. He's underneath the pads. Slap and lift. Right there, as you can see, Alex got underneath the pads with a slap and a lift. The cross check is in his armpit. Some coaches don't want that. Some coaches want you to be more on the hands. I personally would prefer the shaft or through the guy's armpit. So he's got to stick through the armpit, the shaft of the armpit. The cross check has made contact. And if you can see 31, Boyd's left hand, it's actually perpendicular to the ground. The butt end is perpendicular to the ground. I really found that helped out me as a player in this past season while coaching at McDaniel. And once we got into conference play, I really felt having the guys focus on driving that bottom hand towards the ground just made a huge impact, especially along the GLE when we really were able to hook that guy's bottom hand and we had the double team coming. It really tied up his bottom hand, and we had a great deal of success incorporating that 4th little step in right there, just driving that butt end towards the ground. So now let's take these up. Little baby C. The one thing, please keep this in mind, with a slap and a lift, a lot of times when you slap and lift, when you slap it actually it actually knocks that free hand back into their body, and then you're not able to get underneath the pads. I think the baby C, it's just easier to get underneath. And Alex is working his bottom hand towards the ground, really hook that arm. So those are our 2 basic holds. Some coaches refer to them as your strong hold and your weak hold. I've always just called them your B hold and your cross check. Now the next drill I'm going to show you guys is something that we call a partner hold drill from X. We have 10 defensemen, we have 5 groups. Like the other drills, we're going to ask our offensive player to take on a certain role or to do something. Okay, the way that we do this drill is we want to keep in mind our posturing focal points, which are, you start off, you're square to the end line, you're matching inside shoulder to outside shoulder, and you're in a good defensive stance. All we want the offensive player doing at this point is actually just sweeping right-handed. Okay, 75% sweep. We want him to act like an attackman. He's sweeping, stays close to the crease. And what we're focusing on now is a few things. We're going to focus on our initial posturing. We are going to focus on trailing to X. Let's add one more right here. So we're now at X. We're still trailing to X. As the offensive player gets into a position as a threat to score, we want to open our hips up, get upfield at the GLE when our goalie communicates whatever vocab it is that you use, hold, turn, drive. At that point, we really want to focus on getting underneath the pads. We want to focus on executing our holds. We want to focus on turning them back. For the more sophisticated defenseman, once you turn it back, you can actually ask the better defenseman, the more sophisticated defenseman, or you guys that play at or coach at a very high level, to actually physically turn that attackman back into the crease. Okay, it really depends on where that defenseman is at. So again, we're keeping in mind our basic posturing technique: inside shoulder to outside shoulder, chest and head up, square to the end line. As we get to the GLE, we're listening to our goalie, we're turning, and we're focusing on our B-hold. If this is a left-handed defenseman, we're focusing on our cross-check hold. All right, so that is our partner hold drill from behind. I usually have my guys go through it, 3 or 4 times each from each side, so they're practicing both their B-hold and their cross-check hold. Let's go ahead and take a look at it live. Great chance for you to critique your players as well, their mechanics. Right there, Ryan does a poor job of turning back before the GLE. Again, we're underneath the pads, we're hooking that arm, we're driving towards the ground, and we're turning to the inside. And Ray did a very nice job right there. See a lefty, slap and lift, gets underneath the pads, turns it back, probably a yard or two too high, but we're really focusing on the holds right here. Right here, Bill, let's back that up actually. Let's take a look at this. So Bill, he gets underneath the pads, he's squared to the end line, he's working his hips around, he's gone ahead and tied that up. And the final result is he opens them up to the inside. That's a very nice vehicle right there. That's a bad job.